So I just made a video about the red 10th anniversary Terminator Cobra selling for $56,000, which was a loss compared to what it sold for last year. And the auctions are funny like that because maybe somebody didn't want a convertible, maybe they weren't looking for that exact car. But another major factor was there were several Mustangs from a collection being sold at the same time. And so when people are thinking Terminator prices are coming down, out of that same collection of cars being sold, the mystichrome Cobra comes in and destroys that whole argument. This '04 Cobra Mustang, which is a mystichrome Cobra, has the color shifting paint, sold for $80,000, and it's kind of a wrapper car. It still had some plastic on the seats and stuff, but it had over 300 miles on it. So here's the cars out of the collection that sold. The Cobra R, the 95 Cobra R, brought 62,000. There was a silver '03 Cobra with just under 40,000 miles, so that's more of an average style Cobra you see out there for sale. It brought in 27.2, which is pretty solid considering there will be some fees with that sale. And that's more of an average Cobra, not necessarily a super low mile Cobra, but kind of the average lower mileage nice Cobras, and probably not a car that a lot of people were looking at buying on the auction website. That would probably have done better selling on like Facebook Marketplace or the forums, the Facebook Cobra pages and stuff. But then we have a black '03 Cobra with 3,900 miles sold for $44,000, so that brings the number up a little bit. And that's only $12,000 less than the 5 or 6 mile 10th anniversary car. That's a little more in line of what it should be. 3,900 miles is very low. It's not a wrapper car, but $44,000 is a fair price for a car that's not a mystichrome 10th anniversary, Sonic Blue, Competition Orange, or 10th anniversary car. Those are the cars that should be bringing more money. Black was the most produced color for the '03 Cobra. Now, the mystichrome Cobra brought in a very, very solid number at $80,000 for a 367 mile car. They claim it's kind of a wrapper car. Still, 300 miles isn't like a 5 mile car like the 10th anniversary car was. But a lot of people think the mystichrome cars are going to be worth a lot, even though they were highly produced. If you look at the numbers, there were over 1,000 of them made. There were 515 mystichrome coupes produced and 495 convertibles in mystichrome. So, not the rarest of the Terminator Cobras, is actually higher up in the production numbers for 2004 by color. But you don't see a lot of them around, and I think a lot of people collect them and sit on them thinking they're going to be worth a lot, and they are kind of unique, so the idea is that they're very collectible, and so that's why this car brought so much money. Now, we talked about the 10th anniversary Cobra, and that was kind of a soft number, but the Cobra R with 56 miles on it brought 153,000. So the numbers are all over the place, but they're still pretty solid. And while we're on the topic of mystichrome Cobras, my friend recently sold his Cobra for $70,500, and this car had 8,000 miles on it. So quite a bit more than the 300-mile mystichrome we're talking about today. And so in that regard, we could say that this 300-mile Cobra actually sold for a pretty good deal, and that maybe the numbers are just slightly softer than they were if my friend was able to get almost the same price for an 8,000-mile one. Now, these cars with low mileage are hard to come by, and you don't see them very often, and sometimes people will jump on them when they can and pay good money for them. Now, talking about the mystichrome Cobra in this video, I want to go on a little tangent here and talk about my friend who had the other mystichrome one that sold for $70,000. These are pictures of his Sonic Blue Cobra. I believe he just sold this one too, but he's had quite a few. And I just really wanted to go on a little tangent and just talk about this friend of mine. And he gave me some permission to talk about some of the things he told me in the discussion we had about the mystichrome Cobra in this video that's for sale, the one that just sold. And, before I get into those little details, I just want to say this guy, Tyler Ahern is his name. He goes by Comp281 on Instagram because he had a competition orange, won 281, Cobra Coupe. And, we became pretty good friends. I did a story about his orange Terminator Cobra, and you'll see that coming up here. But this is his Instagram, and he has quite a few really neat pictures in here, and he's owned several low mileage Terminator Cobras, and he is a very, very diehard SVT enthusiast, and I very, very, very much respect all that he does in the SVT community and everything that he appreciates and loves and does. I mean, he collects everything. He knows everything about these cars. He has a love for their production, for the research and development that went into these cars, for the history of when they were sold, the dealerships they went to. There's just so much to say about him and what he has done and the things I've enjoyed seeing, like pictures like these. Here's, a 10th anniversary Cobra and a 40th anniversary GT and a Mach 1 there, and a, 10th anniversary convertible. And these are, things that happened back in the day, and he's saved all these pictures, and he's gathered this information, and he's been to some of these things, and he's met the engineers, and he met John Coletti. There'll be a picture of that coming up here soon, but this is just on his Instagram. I wanted to go through here just for a second and just show a little bit of this so you can understand what kind of caliber man he is, and he just loves all this stuff, and I appreciate his love for it, and I learn from him, and I love making YouTube videos. I love being an enthusiast myself, but that doesn't mean that I'm the know-it-all. So there's John Coletti with him right there, and see all the cool SVT badges and signed posters and stuff. I mean, this is fantastic stuff. There are people out there who I wish would make YouTube content for me to sit down and enjoy. I do love watching YouTube and enjoying other people's content as well as creating my own. And people like Tyler here have so much to offer. And so if anything, you could go through his Instagram and read through some of this stuff and see all the stuff he's collected over the years. I mean, one of the things I really liked was this torch red Terminator Cobra test car he had featured on his Instagram. And he told the story about it, and he knows so much about this stuff. And, this car was, I believe, the Canadian prototype. It was the track durability car in 2003. And you can read through this. Basically, the car was also equipped with an oil diff cooler in the trunk to keep temperatures down during heated track runs. The car had the FR500 exhaust, and you can buy those back in the day. And I think he even had one of those kits had baffles inside, if I remember correctly. It was all on his Instagram and stuff. But, this car was parked in a residential neighborhood when it was in testing. It was built January 25th of '02. Has the VIN number with a Y in it for being a Terminator Cobra. And it was Colorado red, which was torch red as it came out to be. And, just so cool to see stuff like this and to be able to go on his Instagram and see so much Ford history, SVT history, and, my favorite Terminator Cobra history. Here's some engines being built at the Romeo niche line plant, so just so cool to see all this stuff, and he appreciates it so well. I mean, here's a crate engine. He had a model engine that turned that showed how the Terminator engine worked. I mean, he collected everything, and so that's so fun to see. I mean, there's his mystichrome Cobra when it was being sold, I believe, and then he got a Boss 302 for a little while. I mean, he's had a lot of cars. He's shown a lot of cars and stuff. Another little tangent as we go through his Instagram here for a second, just so you get an idea of the kind of stuff he offers. This is a spoiler delete 10th anniversary Cobra. And so this was really cool to look through. And, when he posts things up like this, I think, man, you should make videos about this and share it on a platform where people can watch it and enjoy it. I mean, I don't like reading as much as I like watching a video, but I mean, here he goes through talking about it and saying that was pretty rare. and it was silver. The code 325A is how it was ordered. And, that most people don't like the spoiler delete Cobras. I'm in that group as well, but you can appreciate seeing one of these that could possibly be a one-of-one car. There might have been someone else who said they had one of these, but, the Terminator Cobra, you could order it without a rear spoiler. And, some people did because they didn't want to spend the extra money, but they didn't know how cool it was, or, that it would be so special. But, here's another one real quick. Terminator Cobra's on the lot for sale with $500 off. There was an ad here, 5,000 off, and I don't know if that was the Cobras or if it was everything. Cobras Mach 1s, and stuff like that. So just, he has a lot of cool history that you can go through and enjoy and read through and stuff like that. So I was talking with him, and he was talking to me about this Cobra because I mentioned in my other video about the 10th anniversary Cobra that the steering wheel had red plastic around it, and I said I believe the 10th anniversary and mystichrome Cobras were the only ones that had plastic on the steering wheel that was red from the factory when they produced. And nobody's going to know that because most people never had the plastic on their cars. They were not pre-dealer delivered when they got them. They were all, the plastic stripped off and ready to go, and that's how most people want to buy their car. But we were looking at this Cobra together, and we noticed that it doesn't have the red plastic on the steering wheel. And it was funny because I just messaged him as I was making this video to double check on that. And that's all I said was, didn't the 10th anniversary and mystichrome Cobras come with red plastic on the steering wheel? And he answered back, it was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And so we were able to start talking a little bit back and forth, and he told me that this car actually had a couple things that were altered on it, and then they were changed back. And we'll talk about another one when we get underneath the car and show it and stuff. But this plastic on the steering wheel is incorrect. And so maybe somebody tried to put that back on there to make it look like it's still a really, really nice wrapper car. And maybe even, sometimes the seat covers can be purchased. Somebody had some, and, they'll put them on the car to make it look better. Now, these do say mystichrome on the stickers on the side one, at least on the front seats that I noticed. And so it is cool to see the stickers like that. And maybe they kept the plastic, and maybe they never removed the plastic on that. But the steering wheel was definitely altered on that. So, my friend was saying he wanted to, bite his tongue when he saw the car come up for sale, and he wanted to mention that there's been a couple things he's noticed that had been changed back on the car. Because someone's buying this car as a wrapper car when it's technically not really a wrapper car. I had said before, those foot pedal stickers could be purchased on eBay. Maybe they could have been added back on. I'm not saying anything else about this car that I don't know like that, but I think it's cool to look here, and you can see where it says mystichrome on the sticker, and that says coupe. It was weird. The front seats on the 10th car said 10th anniversary convertible, where the front seats are the same whether it's a coupe or a convertible, but the backs are shorter if it's a convertible. They're shorter on the sides. So maybe the whole package, the seats were, put in as a package, whether it was a convertible or coupe, even though the front seats are all the same. But anyway, looking at the rest of the car, it is a beautiful car. I mean, there's no getting around it. It's a 300-mile mystichrome Terminator Cobra. Very neat piece of Ford history, color-shifting paint, and I'm sure this car looks better in person than it does in pictures. I know it's hard sometimes to get the right colors to show up, and people have done all sorts of things in photo shoots to try to make that happen, but in person, I'm sure it looks even better. I mean, this looks really neat. It offers quite a few neat colors, kind of a teal color and a sonic bluish color, and, it changes to kind of purple, and just a really neat thing that Ford had done. Now, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it is something kind of special. I don't think you could go wrong with ever buying a 300-mile mystichrome Cobra. And it brought really good money for what it was, and maybe you could argue it could have brought more. I had seen people list mystichrome Cobras in the past for $109,000 for a low-mile car. There's a Goodyear Eagle F1 tires on there, the horse in the grill, which is original, that had not been changed. I even saw a Mach 1 once that was like a 6-mile Mach 1, and it had a blackout honeycomb panel added on the back, which was not factory. So, I mean, things can be changed over time. Some people want the originality of these cars, and some people look for these cars that have never been tuned. They want the factory calibration on it. They want to know it's never been pulleyed, that the engine's never seen more than the 8.5 pounds of boost that it could make the way it was. They want to see original caps on it. They want to see the original plaque from the engine builders. I mean, there's a lot of things that are very important to different type buyers. Now, looking underneath, you can see it's pretty clean. There's a little bit of rust on some areas and some corrosion on some bolts and stuff, and that has to do with where the car was stored. If it lived in a humid climate, a humid part of the United States, it could get some surface rust on there. And so I noticed there was just a little bit on here, and I mean, it wasn't anything bad, but compared to that 10th car, the 10th car looked a lot cleaner. You see the rust there and a little bit on the hardware and stuff. I mean, it's not bad. It's not like the car's floor is crusty or anything, but you can see this tape here. See the tape coming off of that hole? My 04 had that as well. It had tape instead of a grommet hole, like those grommets there. And I thought that was interesting. I thought it had been changed on my 04, but I've seen a few 04s, even my friend's Mach 1, that still had the tape on the hole, the drain hole there. And so I believe that's correct for this car. And so it's kind of cool to see. And with a car this low mileage, you can guarantee most of it's correct. Now, my friend had told me this catback had actually been changed and that somebody had modified the car and they had put a different exhaust on it at one time. And then they put this back. And, there's a couple things that might have been changed back on this car. And so you just have to realize that it's never going to be a new car when it has, this many miles on it. There's a little surface rust on the brake booster, the ABS module box and stuff. Transmission looks good, everything, but it's never going to be like brand new. There's a little surface rust on the exhaust there. Maybe that exhaust came from another car, but what I'm getting at is, this is a fantastic car. It is basically new. I mean, it basically is, but it still has a few hundred miles on it, which makes it less new. I'm glad they never put that license plate frame on the... I'm glad they didn't drill holes in it for that license plate frame. But, I mean, look at the window sticker and stuff is pretty cool to see. And, this car also did have something that I really liked to see, and it was the original window stickers, but not just that, but the SVT certificate that has the build number and the build date here. It's actually signed by Tom Scarpello and John Coletti. The reproduction ones don't have that, and I don't have either of the original SVT certificates for my Cobras. Both of mine I have reproduction ones that say Ford Performance and stuff. Now, there was a little circle here. I didn't really see what that was about. A scratch or a ding or something maybe. So that was in the listing. But and on the subject of talking to people, around the world and people I get to know and friends, this was a 400-mile Cobra that a friend of mine had contacted me and told me all about. And, he had quite a few Cobras like this, super low-mile ones that he sold over the years. And, we've talked on the phone and got to the point where, he'd call and talk to me. He had that wrapper car that was smoking, the red 10th anniversary one. The hardtop one. He owned a lot of these cars, and so he's called and talked to me about it. So I just kind of wanted to share that and say that some of these cars were probably his too. If you see super low mile cars, there's a chance he's owned it in the past. Other than that, there's some nice pictures of the car. So let's see some video of the car here. Again, just like the 10th anniversary car, same seller, same way they went about it. I don't like them seeing revving up a car with low mileage on it like that. I don't think that was so necessary. Maybe the car was warmed up, maybe it wasn't, but whenever I see a car that's probably cold started like that and then instantly revved, it kind of bothers me. But that's just me. Maybe it's no big deal. I know people would start these up and do burnouts within the first second they get them. And so what? But anyway, that's just me and my preference. But anyway, this is a beautiful car. Now, there's so much we could talk about, as I already have in this, and I love the comments. I had some really great comments on the 10th anniversary one, like the smoke on startup that the 10th car had. I showed a little bit about the coupe 10th anniversary with 5 miles on it that started and blew out a lot of smoke. And, there was a really neat comment where somebody had said they had bought an '03 Cobra brand new. As a matter of fact, let's share this comment. He said, "I am the original owner of my 2003 Cobra. From 2003 to 2009, I put 17,000 miles on the car. Due to the Great Recession, I lost almost all my accounts and ended up storing the car at my father's house and moved to Florida to start over. After 12 years of the car sitting, all the valve seals dried out and it now smokes on startup and burns some oil." My response to him was, "That's a cool story, actually. Regardless of the issue, that's cool to hear you held on to it. What color is it? Thanks for sharing. I really enjoyed that comment." And so basically I was telling him that is a cool story. That's a piece of history. You have the '03 Cobra. You have the time it came out. You have the time the Great Recession happened. You have the story of someone who bought one brand new, and they did everything they could to hold on to it, even including storing it away at their parents' house while they went and started their life over. I mean, that is cool. That is history that has a twist to it. I mean, it shows, there are so many cool stories like that out there I've heard of, in the old muscle car days where people would pull engines out of cars and sell them just to keep the car, or they would, put it in the back of a machine shop like a Boss 429 I saw the story on. It was in the back of a machine shop with dust on it for 40 years because they had to put it away like that. And it's just like, that is cool. I mean, that is something that I appreciate. And he told the truth about why the car smokes on startup. He says it does it. He had bought the car new. He said that's the story and that's the way it is. And so, we were talking about the cars smoking, the seals drying out if they're low mileage and they sit all the time, and he kind of agreed with that, and he told a personal story, and I really appreciate that because that's honesty and it's cool and it's something that happened, and he's not ashamed to comment and say that. And some people wouldn't want to admit any of that and talk about how their car smokes because some people don't want people to know anything that's bad about their car and stuff. And so I appreciate that he commented that and, shared that where anybody could read it. And, it just gave some heart and soul to these cars and what people do for them and how much they love them and the things they've gone through to keep them and everything. And so that was really cool. And so I really enjoy the comments. I think there's a lot of good insight out there. I think there are a lot of people who are into these cars who know so much about them more than I do, even though I love making content about them. And I have a lot of experience with these, and I own 2 of them myself. And I've owned over 20 Mustangs of this generation. Like, it's just cool to talk with other people who know more than I do, and I'll, happily say there are neat people out there who do that, and I enjoy their content as well and what they bring to the community. So please comment. Let me hear anything you have to say about it. Share it with everyone else who reads through the comments, because this is really fun. This is a neat way where we're all enthusiasts of the same car. We all love it, and we can all learn from each other, and we can all be friends and get to share these experiences with each other in a way that used to be unknown. This did not exist in the past. Maybe you would meet somebody at a car show that had a car like yours, but the whole world can connect like this. I have people from all over the world who send me pictures of their Cobras in different countries and tell me how they got them and stuff. And I just think it's so fun that we're all able to be in on this together. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.